might as well rock and roll.
Yes, guys, we are back for another show. How is everybody? Hope everyone's doing good, guys. It is Monday evening here in the UK on as me and 12th man was saying earlier, a cold day for us, a hot day for us, a cold day for himself. But yeah, we I hope everyone's enjoying it, guys. I hope everyone's enjoying it. Don't forget to go and smash that like button as soon as you come in, guys. Subscribe to the channel as well. Share the video out and all that good stuff, guys. We've got a bit of a good show coming up. Hopefully, good today. We're going to be talking about Virgil van Dijk. We're going to be talking about defensive issues at Liverpool last season. Will they carry on to this season? We're going to be talking about Trent Alexander-Arnold. What's his best position? Let's just talk about it and finish it. But before we get to all that, we're going to talk about a little thing that's happening at the moment with the Saudi Premier League and Chelsea Football Club and how do we say this without getting banged up? Allegedly, alleged corruption. I don't know. Is this the end of football, guys? That's what we're going to get to first few minutes, then we'll get on to our rest of our other topics. 12th man, how are you doing today? Welcome in, man. Glad you're here.
Excellent. Thank you for having me. Big ups to all my Reds in the chat, and even hello and salutations to those that are our rivals or pretenders. And yeah, thank you for having me on.
Hey, Matt, you're welcome, man. And ends will be 1 minute when he's doing something. So yeah, I hope you're all doing good. I hope you're all doing good. And we got G coming on as well in a minute as well. G will be here in a minute as well. So let's just talk about it quickly. So we're hearing today that so Chelsea last year spent a lot of money, 12th man, on a lot of players you would say are maybe not as great as they used to. Here he is. There's the main man. Look at that. He's locked everyone away in his back. There we
go. You guys hear me, yeah?
Yeah, loud and clear, man. Loud and clear. So yeah, we're just going to talk about first the Saudi Chelsea alleged weirdness that's going on there. And I was saying with 12th man first that with Chelsea doing some business, obviously what they've done in the last 12 months, 600 million, blah, blah, blah. We all know that. And then they're selling a lot of their players to Saudi Arabia for a lot of money, and they're going to be put on massive wages. Now, a lot of people are starting to feel a bit, hang on, what's going on here? Because there was rumours when Todd Bowley took over Chelsea that he had secret investors that weren't chat about. A lot of that noise has been said that it's Saudi investors that gave them the money to, to spend on transfers and stuff like that. And now we're seeing this connection with Saudi Arabia. It's the beautiful game that we all know and love, dead and gone now. And have we got to be a little bit worried?
In terms of the Saudi thing, No. We kind of saw this, predicted this. So I was talking to Savage about a month and a half ago, and it was like, wouldn't it be strange if, like, when Ronaldo started speaking about, in the next couple of years, the Saudi league's going to be the top 5 leagues. It was like, imagine if all the players started just leaving Premier League, Italian League, Spanish League, and start going there. What would be? And then a lot of people kind of pushed back and said, maybe the older players and blah, blah, blah. But we're now seeing that even the younger players are starting to do the move now. Every time I turn on my phone or turn on any sorts of transfer news, it has a player going to Saudi Arabia. Like, everyone's just leaving the Premier League to go there. In the Spanish League, I think Saul's the one you'd probably say is out of his prime now, whatever. But they're trying to get as many players as they possibly can. So to Ronaldo's point, probably is. But yeah, man, I can see these men taking over eventually, bro. Like, Mo Salah probably one of the next one. Riyad Mahrez is on his way there. There's a few players, man, that these guys want because the money talks at the moment. And I think because the way that they're doing it, they're paying the players accordingly, because you have to face the facts. The players bring in so many in terms of revenue for shirt sales and sponsorship deals they're bringing to the club. I think a lot of these clubs underpay the players, and these guys are going, look, we'll just pay your weight in gold. There you go. Come and join us and make our league better as well. So I think it goes hand in hand with both. I had a little, side agenda. I was thinking maybe that's why Mbappe don't want to sign that new deal still, because they might have been in contact and say, listen, we'll pay you 300 million a year. If you just come over for a couple of years, you know what I mean, a 3-season thing.
That's just mad. That's just mad. And by the way, everyone in the chat, I'm not saying that Saudi Arabia can't have a world league and make their league as competitive as any league in the world. I'm not, go for it. Go for it. What I'm more concerned about is the links to Premier League clubs where it looks like, because what it's going to look like from afar is that Chelsea did these dealings and then they're selling their cast-offs, which they were going to struggle to sell because of FFP, to Saudi Arabia that are buying them and putting them on massive deals, 12 man. Do you see that where there might be some fans might be worried about that kind of thing?
I can understand people's concerns, and trust me, I have been one of the biggest voices out there saying how our game has changed ever since Roman took over Chelsea, and I believe ever since PSG got bought out, and those two entities have changed football forever. But what I can say in their defense is that feeder clubs are not illegal. Okay, no. Despite the fact that they should be illegal in one way or another, but they're not. So therefore, it is in a sense kind of like a feeder system, in the sense of by saying, okay, well, we're going to move these players or have this feeder system work where we'll move players along and compensate them one way or another. However, again, that does once again create a problem. And I know that a lot of people only care about your own club, and often that's okay and understood. But at the same time, you have to worry about the foundational roots of your league. You have to worry about things that can create cracks in the system, and creating this haves and have-nots can be a major problem. So yeah, I have issues with it as well.
Yeah, I agree. Look, as I said, I've got no issues. Everyone asking, I've got no issues with clubs, with leagues starting their own leagues, putting their loads of money into it. Look, the Saudi Arabia are going to be different to China. Yeah. China run out of money. Yeah, China run out of money. They couldn't afford to do it anymore. Saudi Arabia are never going to run out of money. They're never running out, man. So their income is going to be long. And I'm all happy for leagues. If you've got a country where you want to start a league up and start a professional league up in the sport, and you've got trillions and trillions of pounds of dollars, whatever you want to say, to spend, then do it. I ain't going to tell people how to spend their money, man. Go for it. Spend. Look at Inter Miami with Messi. Basically, just gave him the world, didn't they? I think don't he own part of Miami now or something shit like that? Like the state of Florida.
Not exactly, but yeah.
It's like they're just giving him everything, Go for it. I don't care because but it stays in their parameter, Mm-hmm. What you do in your league is what you do in your league. My worry is the connections to other teams in other European countries, you got that's my worry. That's where apparently we were meant to protect the sport with the Super League, weren't we? That was the thing. The Super League, if that came along, it would destroy football entirely because, the little guys will feel unwanted now, right? And then we got countries coming in with trillions of dollars, investing into Premier League clubs, and Premier League clubs are then selling their unwanted stars to that system so they can't lose out on FFP, and it looks a little bit corrupt at times. So, I'm just saying now, like, are you worried about the sport in its integrity at this moment in time?
At the moment, no, but that could probably change. I think you said it there about and big up everyone, by the way, on the panel, ends 12. I think at the moment it's not really bothering us too tough because they're doing what City done, which is they need to build the brand quickly. What's the best way to build the brand? You go in and get the best that you possibly can, and then obviously you reach a level and you reach a stage where after a while they won't be offering players like the money that they're offering now. They won't need to because people will just come to the league. Ronaldo said it himself, like in a few years' time, this will be one of the biggest leagues out there. I don't think it'll be top 5, but it could definitely be a big league out there, for what they're trying to do in that sense. And obviously the money being the main factor as to why people are going to go there. People are going there from, say, 20K now to 150k as an example, but soon in 5 years' time, I can see them going from 20k to 60k. They won't need to offer that 150k anymore because the league will be what it is, at that moment in time, kind of thing. And the Saudis, man, they've got the money to do whatever the hell they want to do. So if I was everyone else, I'll just get out of the way. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing you can realistically do. Let them do what they're doing. Ultimately, we've got our game here in Europe. It's been like this since the beginning of God knows time. Maybe it's time for a change. I don't know, man. I'll wait and see when that dynamic changes. I think that's when we can start complaining. But for now, it's fun watching some of these signings, man. Like Henderson, if you want to go 25, 30 mil, you know what I mean?
That's not the question, man. Into the question.
I don't
stay on topic, bro. Shit.
I don't even think, like, to be fair, I don't even think Saudi Arabia are that stupid. But look. Yeah, I think what this is going to show, now, is again, I've got nothing wrong with countries putting their money in to building up their league. Go for it. My worry is just the connecting factors. That's all I'm worried about. The connecting factors, like, you gotta get countries that are gonna own many teams at one time. It's gonna happen eventually, and that is what's gonna be the concern, because they're just going to monopolize it and just player over there, like, and that's a worry to me. But not for it. Like, oh, big up Saudi Arabia. Welcome to the game. Go out and have a massive league. Go and do what you can. Go and get superstar players in. Are they going to be? Everyone says they're going to be like China. And the problem with China, it was a few years, and it died out because they couldn't afford to sustain the ridiculous money they were giving out. That's not going to be the problem. Yeah, for Saudi Arabia. What they're going to do, though, as she says, they will offer these contracts out for a while they're getting their league going, getting these players in and getting eyes on the product. And then once eyes are on the product, they start to stabilise it, and it'll run as a beautiful business. And again, I've got nothing wrong with that. It's just I'm just worried about I'm worried about the little guys in a way. Like, people were worried about the little guys when the Super League was here. But, but the reason we know why the Super League didn't kick off is because FIFA and UEFA weren't getting a cut of the pie. That's basic. That's why the Super League didn't happen, because they weren't getting a cut of the pie at the end of the day. But look, I think what this is going to show, because I don't want to talk about this too much, I think what this is going to show, though, is that footballers that are in this for the money and just want a paycheck, and footballers that are going, nah, I still want to win the biggest trophies in European football at this moment in time. We're looking at Neves. Neves is going. I'm a bit shocked at that, I'm going to say. So I think it's a super talented player, could play anywhere in Europe, and he's going to get 300 grand a week. Now, that's when you look at it and thinking, right, he's going for the money. I commend him. Go for the money, but you're putting. Look, it's not like you're not. It's not like you're going to not be a wealthy man, no matter where your next move was going to be. You're always going to pick up a nice wage packet, probably half of what he's going to get. And he's always going to get well paid. But it's just, you saw Oscar do it. Oscar was one of the first players in their prime that went to China, weren't he? He was one of the superstar players.
Vesey was the top one.
Yeah.
Vesey was the first one to make that move.
Yeah, and then Oscar, he went there and he's never been the same. He went there and it's like his career finished almost. He weren't the player he was, and that's my worry about it all. That's my worry about it all, guys. But go on.
Jamie, to that point, I kind of disagree, because I feel it's easy to say it looks that way, that players are going to go for the money, but I strongly believe the football stopped in terms of people that wanted to become the world's best and win the Ballon d'Or. It stopped from Ronaldo and Messi. They kind of error, because they went back and forth with whoever won it. I think if you look at the academy players coming through now, you look at even ones that's breaking through in the under-21s. As long as they get paid a decent wage, they can drive around with flashy cars. None of them are really saying they want to become one of the best players in the world. None of them. The only young one you could probably hear by the way he speaks, probably like Bellingham, the way he carries himself, the way he speaks, you can see that he wants to go and win the big trophies. He wants to become one of the best players in the world. But if you kind of look at the other players, they don't really care, bro. They're making so much money now. So if you throw money at them, because football, you don't have a long career. Probably have what? By the time you get to 17, 18, that's when you kind of get your break if you're great. Probably got a 12-year career, 12, 13-year career. Might be a bit longer depending on how good you keep your body and how good you in terms of your conditioning. other than that, bro, like these guys are just thinking, how much money can I make? So when I retire, I'm set. If I can win a couple of trophies here or there. Prime example, look at Harry Kane, top player. You would probably say he's more in for it for the money because it can't be for trophies. But everyone rants and raves about how good he is as a player and whatever. Can't be for trophies. Because if it was for trophies, he would have left Tottenham a long time ago to win trophies. Clearly, he's getting paid enough that he's like, oh, I'm cool here. I'm happy to chill here.
Do you know with the Kane thing? I just think Kane's got a weak mentality. Harry Kane, I think Harry Kane's he hasn't got a world-class mentality. That's the difference, Harry Kane. I think he's in his comfort zone, and Tottenham's his comfort zone. He's scared to go out of his comfort zone.
Can't we just say though that when it comes to individual players, sometimes we think about how we would personally go about it if we had the opportunity. Unfortunately, though, a lot of us aren't in that opportunity. So when it comes to the realization of it, they're human beings as well. I mean, we're going to get into it later on with Virgil van Dijk, but I mean, even he said the same. They're not robots. So when it comes to a lot of different things, when it comes to the quality of life, the aspects of different portions of what the team might bring, you know, the relationship with the coach, what your family wants to go through and everything else, you know, it's just, you brought up Messi, for instance, earlier. Look, Messi went to Miami for a particular reason. Messi went to Miami because, one, he already owns a $9 million luxury penthouse there. Okay, so the man obviously likes Miami, all right? And on top of that, he wants to be comfortable. If he were to move to Saudi Arabia, he would be in an environment where people don't speak Spanish. However,
he turned the offer down as well. He turned the offer down, didn't he?
Yeah, so you know, but in Miami, 70% of Miami speaks Spanish. Okay, so he's in an environment that he's going to enjoy being in, and his family is going to enjoy growing up in. So you have to keep those things in mind. Sometimes it's not all, and for him, he's already won everything that you can win. So for certain players, different mindsets are going to come, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they're not, you know, driven or anything like that, but it more so means, hey, they're human beings too, and that much I can respect as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, look, as I said, players go and make their money. You know, you got a short career. Go and get your money. I ain't got. It's just, and I don't care about Saudi Arabia opening their own league. Go for it. I'm going to tell you something. In a few years' time, if Saudi Arabia keep getting good players in through the door, and they got all this money, I'm telling you what, they'll be in the Champions League. I know they're not part of Europe, but UEFA will open the door for them. As I said, if Australia can be in the Eurovision Song Contest, Saudi Arabia can be in the Champions League. It's just, I see it happening. I think in a few years' time, I think you might see countries like some Middle Eastern countries playing in the biggest competition in club football. I also think it might happen in the MLS as well, where the money's big there as well. I think you might start seeing, you know, a lot, you know, UEFA opening the doors for all this, because at the end of the day, let's face it, they're going to be generating so much money. You know, if you're a business, people might not like it. They go, if you're a business, if you're a UEFA, you make a lot of money. You know, and they're going to think, oh my God, there's even more money to possibly make here if we open this up. They're going to do it, ain't they? They're going to do it. And then the Super League will come back and it's going to be a madness. I'm telling you, I reckon in 20 years' time, the whole of football will look completely different. I reckon domestic leagues will almost be gone. I reckon it'll be like master leagues on PES. You know, Europe will be. Yeah, you remember the Master League on PES? That was quality, wasn't it? Yeah, you could have Bayern Munich, Juventus, and Liverpool.
My Wi-Fi is it working properly now? Because I see it.
We can hear you. We can hear you better. You're still a bit like your
screen. Hey, that HMP. That
Yeah. Jamie, I'm gonna jump in. Yeah, jump in, buzzing, bro. 2 seconds.
Oh, Jesus Christ! I don't think anyone's heard that.
But now, what you're saying though, I agree with, man. I think we got Trudon. You just mentioned it there. I see in the chat about the Club World Championships, being like the new kind of tournament. Once they because I'm sure like the Saudi teams, if they win whatever the Champions League version is over there, they can be then entered into that competition as well. So once they start doing stuff like that and we start seeing those kind of games and, you know, those kind of matches going on, eventually the the heritage behind the Champions League, obviously it will always be there. Like you know what it'll be like? It'll be like the League Cup, the Carabao Cup as we know it now. The heritage is always going to remain there. But look how many names we've had to go through to even get to this point of what it's called now. Worthington Cup, whatever, Coca-Cola Cup. Like, we've gone through all of these stages. Why? Because the heritage will remain, but the importantness of it won't really stay as strong throughout the years, because eventually other things will just start taking over. And I think with these Saudi guys doing their thing, eventually you're going to have to get like a Club World Championship, but like a more frequent. I don't know how frequent it is, but we just need something a bit more frequent. I don't know, man. I think we're going to start connecting together.
How about this, G? Your point is well taken, and I can make the comparison on this. The PGA, for instance, now they have the Live Tour or something like that. They created the whole thing, the Live Tour, whatever it's called, and now they've combined it. They were taking so much of the talent away from the PGA that now it's combined. That's certainly a concern, because that is something that could certainly happen in the sense of the way that you're saying, the emphasis of money can really drive where the direction of whatever you're trying to create will go. Absolutely.
I heard about that, about the golf and stuff. I didn't really understand it, but yes, if that's what it is, then that's exactly what I think could potentially happen. You know what I mean, in football, like in the future, but maybe like.
England midfield tonight: Rice, Hendo, Trent. She'd almost be a Liverpool midfielder. Right. Let's get off that topic. Enz is still in that frozen state in the parallel universe.
Still frozen? For me, it's moving.
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly well, though. It's just that
you're lagging. It's like you're not frozen, but you're just lagging a little piece.
Yeah, we can hear you perfectly fine, though. There's no worry about that. Right, let's get on. Let's talk about Virgil van Dijk, guys. Virgil van Dijk. Now, he came in for a bit of a hard time in the international friendly the other day. I think it was who's the former Spurs Dutch midfielder? He came big for Virgil, didn't he? I can't remember his name now. Yeah, Van der Vaart. He came big for him, didn't he? Says he doesn't even know what he's doing. Doesn't even know what he's doing. He's just hanging around. He's just a player. He's nothing special anymore. I don't know what he does. I don't know if Van Dijk slept with Van der Vaart's wife, but he's had it in for him for time. There's definitely an agenda there. But I didn't watch that Dutch game, so I can't comment how well he played in it or not. I saw Twitter going mad saying he was useless. Because if the Holland or Liverpool concede a goal, Twitter always blame Virgil like there ain't 10 other players playing. G, I'll go to you first. Do we have a problem with Virgil van Dijk, do you think Virgil's aware of his issue as well right now?
Problem? No. Is he aware? He says he is, so I'm hoping that he is. Look, he's had a by his standards, he's had a poor season. By most other players' standards, it's been like okay. You know what I mean? It's just been like an average season, but I think we got to judge him by the standards that you set, and obviously you set high standards. So, unfortunately, if you're not hitting those standards, you're going to be held accountable. Because then, otherwise, it's one season wonder type of vibe. You know, if that's the case, with someone like Virgil, and I think with him at the moment, I don't really know what it is in terms of. I feel like you could say it's the injury. But the things that he's doing are not injury related, in my personal opinion, because I feel like he's doing exactly what he's always been doing. I'm not seeing too much of a difference in terms of how he defends, how he plays, and stuff like that. But it's almost like that isn't working anymore. But to me, what I'm not liking about him is that you have nothing else in your arsenal. You don't have any other way of. You don't seem to be able to adjust to times. If for example, you've declined in whatever way, whether it's pace, whether it's strength, whether it's you don't want to go into whatever it may be, I don't really care. That's absolutely fine. You're getting older. When I watch Virgil, it's like you ain't got nothing else. That's all you can do. And because you can't now do it, it's just going to look worse. Whereas some defenders I've watched over the years, Sergio Ramos, Thiago Silva, when I've watched them as they gotten older, they've been able to draw upon different attributes. Thiago Silva, again, someone who the pace is relatively there, but he's not as quick as he used to be. Guess what? Now he's got to be a lot smarter in the way that he defends. Virgil, I'm not really seeing that with him. I'm just seeing him do the same things, praying that it just still kind of works. And I'm just like, I just don't really get it with you, because what you did was sick. So I get it. I fully get it. What you did was so sick that you came second in the Ballon d'Or. But then you've had too much of a down kind of period, as well as the team has, which is absolutely fine. But the mistakes that you're kind of doing and the way that you're defending, I'm just not really feeling it. I need to see something else. I need to see something else, from tell Enz to shut up and just reset his computer.
No, I've definitely got to push back. For all the Virgil fans, I've definitely got to push back against that take, I should say. Because realistically, I get it. I get that there has been a somewhat drop off.
I'm not saying he's shit, by the way. Just so that you know, just before you continue. I'm not saying he's shit. I'm just saying.
Right. I'm not saying that you're saying he's shit either. But I know that I can concede that there has been a drop off in his level of performance. But we always have to add context to that. And the context of it is that, look, we had possibly the best player or one of the best players in the world in Virgil van Dijk have a horrific injury, okay, at the hands of, the hack merchant Pickford, and then for him to come back from that injury in an amazing time period, in an amazing time cycle, to come back to play, and then to play every match, pretty much, to not only play every match, but be an important person in every match. Consider to have the same amount, rather than say, okay, we understand that we want to gradually bring you back in the fold. No, we just fully put him back into the fold. And not only did we fully put him back into the fold, we also said we're going to have you hold up the same amount of responsibility as you have always before, if not more. Okay. So now all of a sudden you're putting more weight on his back, and there's more emphasis on his performances. And as a team, I always say too, it's a team game. So when the midfield, which we've all said has had issues, okay, and in the front line has taken a little time to get adjusted to learning to play with each other again, okay, all those types of things of learning how to counter press properly, how to bring about the main specific goals of what brings about the defensive aspect of this team. All of a sudden, it's just, let's just use Virgil van Dijk as a scapegoat. And that's why, if anything, you start to see his game, if anything, start to rebound, if anything, towards the end of the season, when you had the adjustments placed into the squad, when you had the adjustments to the formations. And that's why I always say, there's a lot of criticism put on to his back, which is sometimes warranted, and I'm not saying it's not, but at times I think that it's almost like a catch-22. Whereas, and you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't type thing. Whereas he set up such a high bar that now even him playing at, let's say, B level in his world is still A level for every center back in the Prem. But yet we consider it as if he's washed, or if he's done, or he's declining to a point where we're gonna have to get rid of him soon or something like that. And I think that's I'm
not saying get rid of him, but yeah, I know definitely.
I think that's something we should be really mindful of, because look, again, it goes back to that whole thing about players are people too. They hear things that we say, they hear what's in the press, and if nobody wants to be in a place that they're not wanted. So, those things are things that you kind of got to take with a grain of salt, as we say.
No, look, I agree with the Virgil stuff. I don't think he weren't great last season, but every goal Liverpool conceded was always blamed at Virgil's door. I went at Canate a few times for making mistakes, and people came for me. It's just that people have got favourites. People got favourites, and I think with Virgil played at such a level that was so high in them 2 years, especially. Champions League, Premier League seasons. He played at such a level that any drop is going to be so noticeable. And especially the way we defend, the way we play. We play one-on-one defending. We don't play compact defending. We don't drop back, get the midfield close to the centre line, to the back line, have like 10 yards in between or anything like that, or they squeeze in. They play one-on-one. Virgil will go out, Canate will go out, Robbo will go out, Trent will go out, and they push up and play one-on-one. And I've always said it, you know, you play some of the greatest defenders in the way in the Premier League era in that system, they would struggle. You know, you wouldn't play John Terry in that system because he'd get obliterated because he hasn't got the athleticism or pace to do what Virgil did in that system. Now, what you're seeing is now, after the injury, Virgil's struggling, for me, in the system. And if you change the system a little bit to accommodate Virgil, because I think Canate struggles in the system as well, right? And if you change the system a little bit, I think you see a better Virgil and a better Canate. And, you know, you get the midfield in front of them that's a little bit more defensive minded and not so open as well and can't run and press no more. And I think you see, you know, a better Virgil. Remember, Paleo Maldini always said it best. You don't want to know how good your defenders can defend because you don't want to let teams just keep going at you constantly. And last season, that's what we did, Ends.
Yeah, man. At the moment, I don't have to defend Virgil, which is kind of good still. But nah, man. Look. I get it. Look, everyone's entitled to an opinion, whether it's wrong or right. But I think some of the shade that people are, you know, what I mean, just trying to, you're nitpicking now. I saw people trying to call out what he did against Chiesa. I'm like, okay, cool. Keeper should have saved you. I don't know how you're getting beaten that close to your goal anyway, bro. From that far out, from that angle anyway. I think he's put him on his weaker foot, expecting the goalkeeper to kind of close the angle. But I get it. We want him to defend in a way that he doesn't naturally defend. And to G's point, he was saying, obviously, you have to kind of adapt to the times or change to the time. I think that's what you were saying, G. Yeah, I want him to as well. But he's always defended this way. So the issue is now we're starting to see that there's holes in everyone's games because the whole team is not playing well as a team. Like, we're just getting carved open. The midfield is getting bypassed all the time. Then the defenders have to defend. I don't think he's massively dropped off in terms of what everyone's going on. Like, we should just get rid of him and sell him. He's washed. He needs to go. That's crazy because when Virgil weren't in the team, back in the January, I think, or just before he was injured for a month and a half, bro, everyone was crying, bro, because it was like Joe Gomez and Matip couldn't defend. He was like, bro, he's washed, so it doesn't matter if he's not in the team or not. But you can clearly see that he needs to be in the team. The only problem is I don't want us to too much over relying on him. So that's why I think we should go and buy another defender. Maybe not as good, but has similar qualities in terms of leadership. So when he's not in the team, that person takes that role. Because at the moment, when Virgil isn't in the team, it's like you could put Virgil with Gomez, you can put Virgil with Matip, you can put him with Canate. But if you have to put any of those guys together, no one takes charge. So we just look all over the place. We just look like we can't defend. Even though at times this season with Virgil, it still looks that way at times, but I get that that's a overall team thing. I need us to go and get a defender that has a similar attribute. So when Virgil isn't playing, we don't have a massive drop-off. But to him, bro, it's going to happen, man. We had a great season the season before. We nearly won 4 trophies. No one was complaining about him then because we was just winning games of football. Yeah. But as soon as it goes pear-shaped, we're just, you know, throwing everyone that we can under the bus. If it's not this guy's fault, it's another guy's fault. It's not Trent's fault, it's this man's fault. The problem is we've been playing that way for ages, but I will agree with G. I think that everyone kind of has to adapt. But the way that we adapt is to get players, you know, that can do the role that you want them to now do. But Virgil's never going to change. We're asking him to dive in, run man down. What are we asking him to do? Because he's never defended that way. If you're going to ask
who do you? I was just going to ask everyone on the panel here and everyone in the chat, and you probably know what I'm going to say next. So whose fault? Not fault. Maybe that's the wrong word that's being used. Yeah. But whose job is it to fix that then, in terms of helping the team with when you can see these kind of holes, when you can see that things just ain't really right, they're not really clicking. Whose job is it then to get it to click then? Because if you're saying in terms of maybe in terms of the players, if the players are going through bad form, there's nothing they can do in that bad form other than just wait for them to get in some type of good form. There's nothing you can do in bad form other than keep doing what you're doing until you get back into some level of good form. Is it not then, and you know I'm going to say anyway, it's not then the manager to start using the brain a little bit to say, you know what, maybe to help out a little bit, It's not going to make it look fantastic. I'm not saying all of a sudden we're going to start going on 20-game winning runs. I'm not even asking for that. I'm just asking for you to change it a little bit so that you can help. Because I feel like he could have helped this team out a lot this season, and he didn't.
Just a quick one. He has. So if you're gonna go to the manager, I think he has, because especially when you have a defensive partnership, right? You don't need them both to be the exact same. You need one's going to be the aggressor, one's going to be the guy that cleans up. Virgil's never been the aggressor. He's never the one that goes and wins. Unless they play it to him, he's going to go and win the header. But that's what we bought a Konate, because he's the aggressor. He's going to want to go for the first challenge, and then Virgil will just mop up and clean up. Similar to like Vidic and Ferdinand. Vidic was the one that went in for his head and, dived in everywhere. And then Ferdinand will just do the little clean up, spread the ball, play it out from the back, whatever. You don't need two defenders to do the same job. So Virgil hasn't changed. I just feel Klopp is slowly kind of getting the right cogs in the wheel. But I think what he's done is taken too long to do the midfield one. And now we're seeing the after effect, because I don't think Konate is doing as bad, and I don't think Virgil's doing as bad. But what you're seeing is the midfield is just getting bypassed so quickly, bro. These men are always defending in the whole game. And we're never used to seeing Virgil have to do this much work. We're always like, oh, Fab's cleaned that up. Virgil don't have to do nothing. Henderson's cleaned it up. We don't have to do. Genie's cleaned it up. We don't have to do nothing. But now, no one's in the midfield doing this role. So it's like these men have to just keep running back, keep going 1v1 with the attackers, and we're just getting found out as a team more than individuals. But man, I think we just need to get that guy. But go on, 12th man.
I was going to say, 2 points too. I think what N says has definite merit. However, one thing I think that we're not addressing is the fact that there were times where people were saying Matip was actually better, was our best defender. There were times when people were saying that Matip actually was at a higher, in a better form, I guess you could say, than even VVD. However, you notice that this year he hasn't been utilized as much. And this year there's been a little bit of a dip. But also that partnership between VVD and Matip has seemed to suffer somewhat too, because now we're talking about Konate. We're always talking about Ibu. When originally, Matip has some great qualities and some qualities that doesn't come with Konate. So I agree with what you're saying in that, there's things that VVD needs to do for improving his game, and he's addressed it himself. He understands that he wants to improve his levels and everything else. But again, with what Ann's point was, no one was really talking about when we're going for a quad. No one was really talking about it, considering that this player is, again, a player that came off injuries, played every game, and continued to play every game without question. And then on top of that is the same player that took his team in the World Cup one match shy of making it to the finals. Okay, so we all talk about these things, but yet we don't address the context that should be properly addressed with it. And sometimes we get into our little agendas, as I put it.
Yeah, the reason they got the semi-finals, Gakpo, right? No, you are right. Look, the Matip stuff, right? I'm going to say something right now. Everyone who kept saying that Matip was better than Virgil at that period of time when Matip was balling out is a myth. And the reason it's a myth is because when Virgil didn't play and Matip played with somebody, he looked wanting every single time. Every single time Matip is partnered with someone that isn't Virgil van Dijk, Matip looks wanting. All right. And this is not me slagging Matip off. The fact Matip looked busier a lot of the time than Virgil last year is because no attacker attacked Virgil. They all went down Matip's side and down Trent's side because Trent was leaving gaps. So if you're attacking Liverpool's strongest side of their defence is Virgil and Robbo. Do you attack there or do you go Matip and Trent? It's the Matip-Trent area. So Matip and Trent were very busy and Matip looked good. I think Matip's always a better defender when Matip's busy. When Matip's in like a really busy defender, I think Matip looks better. But you put Matip with anyone else. I remember the Benfica game, we put Matip and Konate together. It was disastrous. Darwin was ripping us apart. And Virgil weren't in that game. So I do think there is a bit of a... That's why Virgil's a defender who don't get dropped. There's a reason for it. There's a reason that Virgil is a defender that don't get dropped. Coming back from his surgery, Virgil doesn't get dropped, and there's a reason for it. He straight back, played 60 games. That I think Virgil's been overused by the manager a little bit. I don't think he, when you come back for that kind of knee surgery, and then you go back to defend, you go back into a system, and I'm trying to defend like you defended before, but now with this thing in your head about your knee, it's a mentality thing as well, where you got to push up higher. It's not about engaging, because Virgil's never done that. That's not Virgil's way of defending. Virgil defends space. He doesn't defend the player. This is what a lot of people get irritated by with all the time. Virgil defends space. Space is what kills. If there's no space, players can't score. That's how Virgil likes to defend. Where Matip is more of he defends the man. Kanate defends the man. And that sometimes gets Kanate in trouble because he's sometimes over-aggressive. Lovren used to do the same thing. Defend the man, got over-aggressive. Virgil's never been about that. Go in Southampton, go Celtic. He's always been about defending space. That's when, was it with Rio Ferdinand when he talks about how he defends? Because Rio asked him, why do you move back in that way you do? And he's talking about, well, I'm watching what the players going to do. I'm going to anticipate what that attacker's going to do. And plus, the less space there is behind me, the less chance he's got of doing anything. And it's just the way Virgil's done it. But he's gone back from his injury to doing that. When ends, it might be a mentality thing with Virgil. Look, it could be. I mean, he had a massive knee injury, man. This ain't. It weren't just a lot of broken ankle. It was a really bad injury.
But
on top of that, it didn't help that the team wasn't playing well as well, though, Jamie. The team isn't playing well.
No, but take shit.
Come back and you ask him to come back and do what he was doing, and then he's looking like, hold on a minute, bro. Why in every 2 minutes someone just running me down? What's going on? So the midfielders were just getting bypassed, and I really do hope, especially I was saying this probably on my channel. I was talking to the mandem as well, like Savage, Cav, and Zabir. I was saying in the Europa League, we're going to be able to, in my opinion, we're going to be able to play two teams, which then is going to allow the players like Virgil, the players like Mo Salah, the players like Trent to then have a rest. So then we might get a better version of Virgil next season, because he won't have to be playing Champions League, Premier League, Champions League, Premier League, League Cup. You won't have to do all of that. In my opinion, he can then rest for the group stage of the Europa League unless needs be, because I don't think the teams are in there is going to really pose us that much of us enough questions that he has to play, especially if we go and buy a centre half as well. And then he can rest, bro. So that means he'll play once a week unless we play him in the FA Cup. And if he doesn't then perform, then you could be like, okay, cool. Okay, maybe there is an issue with him then, because now he's actually getting rest time and he's still not improving or playing better. Then you can start asking those questions. But I feel like he came back from a long-term injury, played like what you said, Jamie, played 66 games. Then the next season, he played pretty much until he got injured. That was his kind of break when he had the hamstring injury and he was out for a month and a bit. Maybe next season when we're in the Europa League, gets a chance to chill. And then we can see probably a better, title charge, whatever you want to put it. And maybe the players then will improve, because Liverpool, we play in every cup competition pretty much down to the last, to a semi-finals or whatever. And we've done that consistently for years now. And it is tough for players to keep doing this year in, year out, especially the way that we play. Maybe we need a break, bro. Maybe this is the year they get a break and they can rest up and, what I mean?
Why does it always seem like we're diverting from the real truth, bro? Why can't the manager just change the way that you play to help with all of that?
I agree.
I don't understand why we always have to. We're saying so. It's almost like saying, well, you did shit last season, so this season your reward is you get to have a break from being in a competition that you put us in, not like you put us in this competition. So you should be the one trying to play it to get us there to win it. Whatever, cool. But if you want to rotate, you rotate. At the end of the day, like ultimately, I know I keep banging on that drum, but all jokes aside, if he just did that, I promise you will see a better Liverpool. Like, it's too obvious that I don't quite understand as to why there needs to be this, well, we need to rebuild this and we need to rebuild that. Like everyone keeps mentioning to me, 12 months ago, however long ago, we were going on for a quad. So you're trying to tell me that in that space of time till now, the team went from all the way up here to down here, like in the space of just one season. Like, yes, I rarely. Wait. I'm trying to think of another team. Just before you go, 12. I'm trying. Like I honestly, the only team I could think of was Chelsea, and they came back to win the league. So unless that's going to happen, then fair enough. I'll keep quiet and say, you know what, we're back. We did this, that, and the third. Other than Chelsea being that anomaly, I can't remember Manchester United ever dropping out of the top 4. I can't remember Arsenal in all the shit years that they had with Wenger. They never once dropped out of that top 4. Manchester City have never dropped out of the top 4 since they've obviously come into this money. So I'm just trying to think, when has this happened where a team has been this good and then just fell off a cliff in the space of one season, and now everybody seems to think that we're just going to go back to just being this great team? I don't get where everyone comes from with that, in terms of just saying, yeah, Van Dijk, just going to click a like. Trent, just going to click a like. Fabinho, just going to click a like. If they can turn it on and off that easy, were they ever really world-class players? Like, that worries me when I see that. I've never seen world-class players go from here to here in one season and then go back to just, they're just amazing players.
But mental and physical fatigue is a thing, bro. We can't go past
it.
I
never say. I mean, listen, look. I'm not saying that it's a fatigue.
The season before they played him, bro. When I said every minute there is to play,
but then that sounds like excuses, though. Ends do you not want to play in every competitive game? I don't understand.
It's like you saying you go to work the whole week, right, and then you decide to have a lay-in. And then someone goes, no, you have to get up and do things. You'd be like, bro, I need a lane, bro. I work 7 days.
No. It's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. Because the only reason why
there's always going to be the fatigue and mental fatigue.
It's like if I go to work every day this week, knowing that I still need to do something on Saturday, but I'm thinking, but I know I need to do something on Saturday. It's the same thing here. You know that you need to go back and go again. This is where I don't blame the players. This is where I'm looking at. This is why I keep going back to the one guy in the whole management who can stop that, and that is the manager. If he just decided to rotate, if he just said, you know what, Virgil, we're winning 9-0 against Bournemouth, you don't need to continue playing, brother. Maybe we take you off. Maybe we rest you for a little bit. That's just one example. I'm sure everyone on this panel could come up with 1,000,001 examples where he's done that. And that's not just this season. Forget the season that's even gone. I'm talking about previous season before that. We saw what happened to Diogo Jota before this season. We all watched that game, Michelin, and you're playing in a game that literally did not need you to play. Guess what? He got himself injured. Unlucky, everyone says. Everyone's, it's just one of those things. It's not one of those things. Something that could have easily been avoided, but you chose not to. And this is why we get into this kind of problem, more often than not. Remember, these injuries ain't new, guys. We're not sitting here like a team where, this is the first season that we've ever had injuries. We've literally had them since this guy has been here. More so in the last 3 to 4 years. That's crazy to me. I've never seen that. Again, top club, the amount of injuries you've had, and then expect the club to just keep going again and again. I feel sorry for the players sometimes. I feel sorry for Van Dijk, for Trent, for all of these guys. Like, they have to keep going and going. You can't always do that. So I do agree with Ends there. Mental fatigue will come into play when the manager's not doing his job properly. It's that simple.
Every team has injuries, G. I understand what your point is.
Not like this, though. Not like this.
Let me land my point. Then. Every team has injuries. Not like this. I can understand. We have had a considerable amount of injuries. However, not every team plays the amount of games that we do. Not every team goes as deep into competitions for the long run of
Manchester
the last
City.
5 years. We've been in how many finals? How many Champions League finals in a row did we make? How deep often do we go into Champions League in general? How often do we go very deep? And if anything, goes to what Ange was saying, is that often people used to get on Klopp.
It's only in one tournament that we've done. Can we stop changing that a big talk? Other than the season that we went for the quad, when was the last time we went far in the FA Cup and Carabao Cup? Someone tell me. I can't remember.
So allow for me to land my point. My point is this. Often Klopp is criticized because we would often play our youth. We often have James Milner and our youngsters in those games. You see him do more of change-ups. And often people will say, play our starters. We want to win these competitions. Play our starters. Look, context is truly an amazing thing when you bring it to the forefront. And that's exactly what I'm trying to do, is that I believe BVD is what I call a main ingredient. When you're bringing in when you have your recipe that you're bringing on to the for whatever you're trying to make, he's a main ingredient. And that's why Klopp relies on him so deeply. And we often say, you can say what you want about Matip, you can say what you want about Konate, you can say what you want about even Gomez, but all of them bring different attributes to that main ingredient. And we often look and say, oh, defense. There's a reason why VVD is in that playing left center back, and that's because he possibly lays off the best diagonals in the league. As in, he can put passes on dimes for a center back. That's incredible. Okay. Mm-hmm. But yet we overlook these things as if, oh, it's just VVD. Who cares? Right. You have to bring context to what we're talking about. And I believe that context is VVD brings a lot to the table that is overlooked simply because the expectation level is so high that we become so used to believing, oh, it's just a given that we're always going to get it.
No, great. Look, big up Ryan Shortgun. Playing style isn't the issue. A lack of squad refreshment has been the problem. Man City buy players every season, but Pep don't change style because of players. Big up my man with the super chat. I think Pep does change style more than people give him credit for. It's just that it goes under the radar because how good City are. But it does go under the radar. I mean, they changed this year. You know, they don't play with pacey wingers no more. That's a change. You know, they don't play with pacey wingers, play with techie wingers that are built to supply a man up front. You know, that's, you know, most of City's goals, you know, I think 75% of City's goals come from Gundogan, De Bruyne and Haaland. You know, it's just, you know, it's the way they're set up. So I was just looking at the injury thing there. So last season, Liverpool had the most injuries. Anyone want to guess the number?
Quite a lot again.
What players or?
No, it was something like it's like
so Liverpool's injuries last season was 162. Mm-hmm. 162 injuries. Man City's was 49.
What a surprise! What a surprise!
Chelsea had 124 injuries. Newcastle,
big though, so I don't even blame them.
Newcastle are third on that list with 122.
Are they doing it in days then?
And they had an exceptional season, didn't they? They had an exceptional season. Look, you said the point about how injuries do matter. Look, can be a drop off. We had possibly our best left wing get injured. That was a major injury that took out a major player in our squad. We talk about low blocks. We also had Thiago get injured. Two of the major players on this squad that are kryptonite for those low block teams. Okay, and a lot of what we saw this last year was we had issues with a lot of the lower table teams, and a lot of those lower table teams playing in that low block, playing in that same type of approach towards us. That's where you can see the difference in, like, yes, you're going to see a drop off when all of a sudden players are playing in positions that they normally don't want to play in, possibly. You know, how many times have we heard Enns talk about Hakpo playing in the 9 when he wants to play in left wing, or having Nunez playing in the left wing when we all want to, or most of us want to see him play in the striker position. And it's sometimes, and hey, let's not forget about our main hitter, one of our main hitters, okay, Hatza, being injured as well. A good significant portion of last year. You take out a lot of that offensive threat, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, but why isn't it working? Yeah, because you just took out major cogs of our team that score, and also major cogs of a counter press that begins from the front line. If you don't have a counter press, you don't have a real defense that produces for the gegenpress. And this is that simple.
That's fine.
Bro, injuries ain't an excuse, bro. It's factual. If you got players injured, it massively affects your team. It's not.
Well, look at the two teams with the most injuries last year, Liverpool and Chelsea, and they both struggled. So,
and in terms of, sorry, Jamie, in terms of like the reason why these men are playing so much minutes, and to your point, G, we don't rotate enough, which is true. So these men are actually playing all these minutes. And if you compare your team to other teams, even the lower end teams, they rotate their squad quite frequently. Mm-hmm. And that's our issue. Either the manager doesn't trust the players that we currently have to rotate, or the level or the quality isn't there. And that's why some of these men are playing more than what they need to play. So if you're saying players play every minute in other teams, not necessarily, because they do get a break. Gundogan probably has one of the most breaks. He comes in at the back end of the season and end up winning games for them because he's fresh. We don't have players that you can go, okay, cool, let's just use him sparingly. Virgil plays every minute. Salah plays every minute if fit. And you would say now Gakpo probably will play every minute because he's one of our next players. Konate will play every minute unless there's a deadwood game. You're like, okay, we can rest him. Trent plays every minute. Alisson plays every minute. It's crazy, bro.
No, bro, I'm even looking at the fixtures from that quad year. We played against Cardiff in the FA Cup. Why is Virgil playing? You got our back four bar Tsimikas was in there. Like, and then Klopp, it's like then people sit there and wonder why these guys are tired, and they're playing all the time. Like, this is what I'm talking about, is that it's things like this situation. Unless we had, I don't know specifically in this game whether we just had no other centre back and Gomez and Matip, nope, they were on the bench. So again, it's like I don't understand as to why he continues to do this, and then you kind of put us on a bit of a back burner like this. I'm not saying that they shouldn't be playing majority of games. Of course they should. Do you know what I mean? That's what they're there for. They're there to play some of these important games, and I want them to play, especially if we've got certain lineups out. But if he's not going to help, then it's going to be difficult. So Virgil is going to get stick because he's going to have these lapses in concentration. He's going to have these poor games, because I agree with what everyone's saying here. He's just had an injury. He's played how many games he played, the previous season. Of course, like I can see it. I can see that you haven't got the same level of intensity, even though it didn't look it, but you haven't got the same level of intensity that you had before because of the amount of games that you play. Guess what, manager? How about you put me on the bench? How about we rotate a little bit just to help? Because I'd rather rotate for 2 games where you're not playing and give you that rest that I know that 2 games is going to turn into 7, 8 games. For me, I'll take 7, 8 games over 2 games every day of the week, and that's how the manager should be thinking. But he doesn't think like that, and that's why we're here.
We're not some of these clubs out here that's spending all this money all the time, bro. That's not how we are. So it's easy to say, he shouldn't play these games. But if the manager goes, I got Joe Gomez, no one rates him. Let's be honest, bro. Majority of the fan base don't rate him. Look at Joel Matip. We're like, he's all right, but he's not as great either. He's had a drop off. And then we're like, we only left with Konate. Of course, the manager is going to pick Virgil van Dijk. If we were like the other clubs out here that can just spend all this money and then replace them, then of course the argument would stand. But, bro, they're really clubs? Nah, bro. They just do what they want to do, bro. It is what it is. But we can't just afford to just replace Virgil and then be chilled and like he doesn't play and put him on the bench. Once we're in a position to do so, great, bro.
Yeah.
I think we are, but I hear it.
Don't lie, bro. You telling me you're cool with Gomez and Matip playing here?
No, as in, bro, in this 3 at the back here, Virgil can drop bench calm. Like, as in, I'm not worried about him. You put Konate in his rightful position, which is at centre back. Fuck this whole right centre back thing because he can't play there. Get a right centre back. Get your left centre back. Guess what, Virgil? You can get a rest. Play your best centre back in his actual position, but we're not going to do that because
he's a good defender. Man.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying drop him because he's bad though. I'm saying drop him just because he's good.
I know when we use the word drop, it means like get rid of him, put him out. No. Rest. I'll use the word rest him.
But we need to.
Rachel going another super chat. But how much of a change is it if the core is the same? Men as a bare bunch to be flexible with setup, but the core style is the same.
Great comment. Great question. Great statement.
Big up to you, man. Big up to you. Thank you very much for chat, my friend. Great statement. Right, let's go to Trent now. Let's talk about Trent because the Virgil thing we're probably going all night. But what we'll say about Virgil is that I think most of us are willing, even the biggest doubters are probably willing to give him next season to see how he is because of what he's done for the football club. Let's just see what Virgil does next season. That's what he's like if Klopp does change system or the new midfield or whatever it's going to be, and they're fresh, and they're not tired and jaded. Let's see how they do next season. So, and then we can judge. We can come back to this the end of next season. If he's played exactly the same way, then we probably have got concerns, but we'll wait. Let's talk about Trent Alexander-Arnold. He's probably my favourite Liverpool player. And for me, I'm going to ask this question right now. Why is the Liverpool fan base scared of putting him in midfield?
I can
Who's
tell you
scared?
why
Bro?
I
I'm not
wouldn't
scared,
put him
man.
in
I'm
midfield.
gassed, bro.
I can tell you why I wouldn't put him in midfield. I'm not scared of putting him in midfield. I mean, he plays there, in that inverted position. But let's be honest, Trent is not someone that does well in tight spaces. It's not. He needs space to be able to create. He's a right back that likes to have his head up and be able to pinpoint his passes. So therefore, he needs space. By being in the right back position, he has the entire field in front of him. So I can understand that people don't want to concede that point, but that's the reality of it is that Trent does better from a further back position of being in right back than he does being in a position where he's crowded and maybe has to use more of his dribbling abilities and everything and the such. But if he is able to be in that right back position, especially in an inverted position where he can now almost go anywhere on the pitch, pretty much, that's exceptional for me. I'm really excited to see his new role on this squad as being this inverted right back, because I believe it creates a lot of opportunities for him. And he's our number one. He's basically our number one creator when it comes to bringing out offense. And that's what we're all looking for, right? We're all looking for goals.
Right. I would say from that is that you can get Trent in midfield, make him creative and give him the space he needs if you change the setup. It like Thiago. Let me look at Thiago when he's at Bayern Munich. But not the most mobile. Doesn't run. That's not his job in midfield. His job is to be the creator, the pass before the pass, the one who controls midfield, is the controller in that position. So Munich played in a way that set up the system that he could play in that way. And I look at Trent and feel like he's evolved. He's just evolved now from a right back situation into a midfielder. A bit like the way Gareth Bale evolved from a fullback to an attacking winger. The same way Kimmich evolved from a fullback into a midfielder. I just feel like I look at Trent now and feel like he's so good. He's so good on the ball. I've looked at his interceptions and his defending on one-on-ones is actually better when he's in the centre of the pitch than it is at right back. And he looks, when I look at him as well in midfield, his positioning awareness in midfield when he came into that midfield area from right back looked more comfortable to him. He looked more comfortable there with his positioning, with his body positioning, the way he has to be on the ball, the way he has to be set up to ready for an interception or to defend. His body shape and everything looked better in that position it did at right back. I just feel like he's evolved and he's creative. He's a super player. I just feel like, and I'm going to keep saying this, if Liverpool keep him at right back, there is still a weakness to his game. There's no doubt about that. We can't pretend there ain't. And teams will exploit it time and time and time again. It's just come to that now. And I don't see nothing wrong with him. I personally think what Klopp's going to do with Trent next season, guys, is I don't think Trent's going to have a nailed down position. I think Trent might be, like Kimmich did in the early days before he made him a midfielder force permanently, where Kimmich sometimes played a game at right back and then the next game he was in midfield. That sort of thing, G. What do you reckon? Because I think that's what he might be looking at.
Yeah, I think that's the best thing to do, man. I think we should, because we should be able to change like formation, so 3 at the back or 4 at the back. And then obviously, really, the team is there isn't even. It's not even 3 at the back or 4 at the back. It's Trent. Are you playing in midfield today, or are you playing at right back? That's really the only big change that you're gonna see from the team. So, yeah, we should be unpredictable like that. Do you know what I mean? Like we should have that in our kind of arsenal where maybe today we don't need it to be so inverted. Maybe we just need to stay on the outside. Because even when he played for England, he played in that kind of 8 position. And when he was playing there, one of the things that Gareth said is, in terms of his creative output, Trent is Trent. Do you know what I mean? He does what he does. But in terms of like the pressing and stuff like that, wasn't really at it, to be honest with you. And you can see the ball was kind of passing him by all the time when they're just popping it around him, in certain situations. Now, that might just be because he just hasn't really learned that position. Maybe he'll get to be in the right positions when he needs to. But that was something that I just noticed just in the game in itself. And then Gareth spoke about it. And that's where I'm like, even when he is in that 8 position, you see him on the right anyway. He's basically in that right back wing, full, whatever you want to call it, position, getting the ball, putting the crosses in. That's where all of his balls and stuff were coming from. His goal came from that inside right position. Do you know what I mean? Because that's where he's most comfortable. So I think if you get him closer to goal, shooting, yeah, he's all right. I think he's okay at it. But I think it's just more the creating for me. If you get him closer to goal and negate those defensive duties, get a real good defender like Trippier, who's better at him, in my opinion, at just being a defender. Perfect. So if you buy a right back who can just do the right back role, it doesn't have to be great, doesn't have to be fantastic, just needs to be solid at what he does. You get someone like that in, Trent can then push further up the field, and then I think you'll start seeing the best of Trent, like proper. Like you will always see him on the ball. Just negate defensive duties though, because I just think he's someone. He blatantly just reminds me of a guy. I just need a free roll. Stop asking me to do this. Stop asking me to do that. Even when he was bombing up at right back when we was winning stuff, you could see he's not a guy who likes to be bogged down with a style, because his exuberance comes out in different ways, and for him it's to pass it. Get this guy doing a free roll. I reckon Trent will cook differently next season. My opinion.
Go on, Ends.
Yeah, man, Jamie, I don't have an issue with it, man. You've openly seen that I've called for it a few times.
Yeah, I know you have. Yeah.
And look, it's. I think if we take him out right back, I think then that nullifies our own insecurities in terms of like, he's always going to be caught a position we're worried about back posts, and then maybe teams even change up their way, because every time we talk about Trent as a right back, they're like, we just attack down that side. Well, if we actually put a right back there, what do? Because they don't go down Robbo's side too much. And if we nullify them again down Trent's side, then what happens to the team then? They have to change up the way they play. Now, maybe that's where we find our joy again like we used to. Because now there's there's space down the right-hand side, there's space down the left. There's no space now. And then Trent is doing his work, as you called out. His defensive side of his game has improved, interceptions, even like just retaining possession. He's improved us massively. Look at obviously it's a small number of games. You're talking about 12 games, 11 games at the back end of the season. And then you look at even the game for England. I know obviously we look at the opposition and go, they don't really offer much, so we want to see them against top teams. But even if you look at the Arsenal game, maybe not in the first half an hour because he was getting used to it, but for the last 15 and then the 45 in the second half, he dominated that game in that position and in terms of the way he was playing. And he was one of the main reasons why we came back. Great little nutmeg, and then we got the assist. I think if we put Trent in the midfield going forward, he will offer us assists, but he will also offer us goals as well. We're only going to improve. And like G said, get a defender that can defend. If you want to get Trippier, cool. But if you want to get someone that's an actual right back, bro, it's going to be cold. And in terms of Trent there, the only problem why I have with Trent going in there, it forces the club not to spend money again, because he solves an issue that we already have. So even though we put in there, they could be looking at going, okay, cool, let's go and get one more midfielder, even though I think we need 2 more, including the Trent going in there. It could go, let's get 1 midfielder and then a defender. And then I'm like, nah, bro, that doesn't still fix the issues, bro. We still need 2, in my opinion, 2 more midfielders, still move Trent in, and then get a defender that can play centre-back and right-back. And then that way you can go, cool, get him right-back. And then what you can then say, if we get a centre-back, tell Joe Gomez, bro, right-back is your position next season, because we've never had an issue with him at right-back. It's always been in the centre-back. It's never been the right-back, because if you look at his games at right-back, have we complained about him playing there? Defensively,
no, he's been better there.
Yeah, he is better there. It's just that we have an issue with him playing at centre-back. So,
yeah.
I don't know, man. Look, it causes too many issues, I think, when he goes there. But I want him to go there, because just know, guys, if we want more midfielders and we go Trent plays in there, the club will be like, oh, well, that's one problem solved. And then we just get one.
You are right. You are right there. You are right. I think I literally think Trent will be right back next season, but I think he'll play games where he's right back, inverted right back. Then some games he might play just in midfield and change it up a little bit. I think you're looking at Trent now as a major weapon and can play him in many positions. Now, the argument I always hear, especially when I argue with people about this on Twitter, is that they go, oh, why would you take someone out of right back who, won everything at right back at an early age? Kimmich won everything at right back. Didn't stop him playing in midfield. I mean, players evolve. Players evolve. And I look at Trent and I think Do we want to get the best out of him? Do we want to hide? I've always said this. Do you want to hide his weaknesses and show his positives? Or do you want to show his weaknesses and hide his positives? I mean, what do we want to do here? He's such a talented player. There's no doubt about that. Even rival fans, apart from defending, it's hard to really mock Trent because he's brilliant on the ball. He's one of the best passers in the Premier League. He's got a lot of passes in his game. I see him play 5-yard balls that are just smacked into the attacker's feet so they can turn. It tells them what to do with the pass straight away. He's got that whipped-in cross. He's got the ball over the top. He's got a good variety on his passing, and he's always going to hug that wider area because he's been at right back. So that's always going to happen. He's going to hug that wider area. But then that gives us more of a chance to then play free at the back. And I literally think that is the way Liverpool need to go forward. I know people say you don't win anything with free at the back. City just won a treble. I mean, they obliterated Real Madrid playing free at the back. They just won the Champions League playing free at the back. John Stones arguably man of the match in the Champions League final playing in midfield. We got to change the way. I just feel like Trent's evolved. He's got so many abilities that we are able to get out of him. And he's at an age now. He's at an age. He's not a youngster no more. He's at an age now where he's going to be into the peak of his powers. And for the next few years, you can get really the best out of Trent Alexander-Arnold, 12th man.
Can we just say, we were talking about small sample size. I understand those points that Enz brought up as well. But to defend what Enz has to say as well, since April 9th, Trent was first in assists, first in chances created, first in passes in the opposition half, first in penalty area entries, first in possession won, first in touches. Oh, but he dropped off. Oh, but he can't play. Look, he's an amazing generational talent. And I get people don't like stats. I understand Pac-Man doesn't like numbers. That's all well and good. But you're a Man City fan, so I understand that. But all the same, you can't overlook the statistics of what he brings, or you can't understand the numbers that he does bring. And he brings some serious numbers to the fold when it comes to his position in this new adjusted role that he's playing. Okay. So I understand people want him just to play midfield. Where do you put him in just a midfielder? Where do you put him in as just a midfielder?
He's got double. He's got to be. Look, if he has got to play as a midfielder for his career for Liverpool, it has to be in a double pivot. He will do. I can see Trent doing the Thiago role like Thiago did at Bayern Munich, where he plays in that double pivot with a DM. And then everyone around him creates the room for Trent to do his stuff. I think if you do that, I think you see Trent cooking. I really do. You put him in that double, but like when he comes in that inverted role, where does he go into midfield? He goes alongside Fabinho, don't he? And then they create the room for Trent to do his stuff in that area of the pitch. Trent don't go into that midfield role in a free. He goes into a double pivot, don't he?
But we play from the back, though, often. If we're going to play from the back, but if we're going to play from the back and be able to, if we're going to play from the back and have what we do, which is how Robbo and on Trent like to receive the ball, is take it from that full right or left fullback position and drive the ball forward and be able to do crosses, diagonals, do through balls or whatever they're doing. That is why he tends to be in a position of a further back position of a right back. Suits him better than being in a forward position of midfield. He's going to receive the ball. I'm not saying that he doesn't receive the ball in the midfield. He does. However, if he does do that, it also limits that space that's created by him being advanced. And also it is going to allow for him to have better vision of the entire field as opposed to being pushed forward and centrally or in that pivot position where you're not going to have the same options.
No, I agree.
Is it not becoming... Sorry, Jeff, go on.
I was just to say, I agree with all that as well. But I will say, Trent as a right back at the beginning of the season was dreadful. When we changed him into a verted right back, and look, let's face it, people not like, because when people have this argument with everyone that Trent 80% of Trent's game since the end of the season, the last 12 games, was in midfield. Yes, he started at right back, but most of the time when you watch him, he's sitting alongside Fabinho in that central area. And what they're doing there is, when he's sitting there, it's no coincidence that Mo was getting better as well in scoring goals, because Mo was being able to get more central, knowing that then Trent is allowed to run in them positions from the middle to the channel. You know, he can operate that middle channel area, you know, where 12th man is saying. And that's where you get the best out of him. But then there's no coincidence that his assists and goals and his creativity stepped up a little bit when we put him into that position. So I do feel like what everyone is saying is correct. I think we're looking at Trent where I think one game he'll play at right back if needed. The next game, Klopp might be like, just play him in midfield, inverted. He's a weapon. And look, he's arguably, with the ball at his feet, he's probably the best at our football club apart from Thiago. You know, and definitely the most creative. And probably the most creative midfielder we got as well at the same time. So it's one for the manager.
Isn't that the curse? That's what I was going to ask you. Isn't that the curse? Is that we're going back to this is 4-3-3 all over again? It's Trent. It's Trent or nothing. It's Trent or nothing. If Trent isn't doing it, then the team just look like we're going back into that mold again. But we just moved Trent into a different position to do the same thing that we asked him to do. But we're getting him. There needs to be someone else. It can't just be Trent. That's not a problem, by the way. I'm not saying, oh, it's a bad thing that Trent can do these things. Keep doing your thing. I'm absolutely happy for you to do that. But again, and I'll keep banging on about it, this manager is so one-dimensional. I just don't understand why. It's like you can only do one thing at a time. You can't multitask. You can't just, it always has to be one thing and one thing only. Like, surely you have to either sign players or get a system in place where it's not reliant on, Trent's not a striker. He ain't scoring for us. He ain't going to get you 10 goals. And that's me talking at bare minimum. Do you know what I mean? So we're not relying on him like a Tottenham are relying on a Harry Kane, where we need you to score goals for us every single week. We're talking about this guy assisting. We're talking about this guy just assisting. He can't be the only player in the team who's going to assist. I think 12. I'm sure you brought up, or someone brought up the numbers. Savage, I think,
it's probably me.
Or whoever it was on Enza's stream, where we were talking about the goals and assists, and I'm like, yeah, this is embarrassing. This is like genuinely embarrassing to hear these kind of numbers from the midfield. I think it was Savage when he asked us about who's got what, and I was like, yeah, this is what I'm saying. But we're all looking at Trent, amazing player, can do this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. If he moves position, who else is there? If Trent goes back to right back, what do? We're kind of fucked, because either we're going to just go back to 4-3-3, where it wasn't really working and teams kind of figured that out, and Trent wasn't really doing that well in that kind of position, or we put him in this new position and it's only Trent. Meaning, if he gets injured or gets rested, you're in the same position. So it's like, again, one-dimensional. Surely there has to be another player. Man City don't just have Kevin De Bruyne. You have other players. He doesn't have to play for them to do the same thing. That's my issue.
In terms of his playing style, yeah, Kevin De Bruyne, you would say, probably does the same thing that what Trent would offer you in your team. He's the one. Cool. But then you have got Gundogan, but that's how you got players like McAllister and the players that we're linked with, because then they will offer us the other side.
But who are we linked with really is really that you could say.
I know, obviously, we don't know how they're going to adapt and play the Premier League, so it's you know what I mean, it's a shout, but they can, bro. If you look at the profile of the player, you're like, okay, cool. If I get to Ramin, okay, he offers us the box-to-box work, so then you're going to be like, okay, cool, that's legs in the midfield. Then he offers us, that creativeness, because in some of his areas, you're like, okay, he can assist, he can play that cute pass. You also look at, okay, cool, he can shoot from inside and outside the box, both feet as well. So you've got that option, and he's an option from set piece in terms of the defensive aspect because of his height, and you can see they can win headers. Players are going to offer us different things, and you don't always come across a generational talent in terms of Trent. So some squads can just like you want, we shouldn't just rely on one player. It should be a team outlet thing. We should just rely on the whole squad. But sometimes you get players like a Trent, bro, where sometimes you're going to have to just build your team randoms. You don't want to.
No.
Good, but
That's right. The team, Barcelona built the team around Messi. Guess what? They had Iniesta, they had Xavi, they had Neymar, they had Suarez, they had Sanchez, they had Pedro. I can go on. Do you know what I mean? The list keeps going. These top clubs, you can't just have one guy that you're relying on to do everything for you. Because when this one guy isn't there, I expect a drop off, but not to the point where it's like you look like a completely different team. Sorry,
in defense, but in defense of Trent as well. Look, I was on an exceptional show on Ends TV where we spoke about Robbo versus who's had the bigger fall off, Robbo versus Trent. However, you realize that for a good portion of the run, Robbo was putting up assist numbers similar to Trent. It was a pretty balanced assist number tally on both sides of our team. But yet, you know, we can all say that Robbo had a little bit of a letdown year last year. And, you know, if we're talking about the numbers wise, yeah, Robbo also had a little bit of a dip in form, a dip in production. And those things will have an adverse effect on the entire team. If you're going to have if you have a balanced attack where you know you can get assists from left or right, but now all of a sudden you're only coming from the right, yeah, or not only, but primarily coming from the right, you know, that's going to majorly impact your production in the team. And often people are going to overlook those facts, but that's the reality. That's the reality of it all, is that it's a team game, and I can't stress it enough. I'm cool with people's criticism of Klopp. I'm cool with people's criticism of FSG. I'm cool with people's criticism of all the players. But yet, you have to do it respectively in that it's everyone's fault. That's how I look at it. I believe that it's not just simply if we just simply fix Trent, we now have a solution. No, every person's level of play has to be exceptionally high for us to perform in the Premier League. It just doesn't. We're not in Ligue 1, okay? We're not in the Bundesliga, okay? You can't get away with performances like that. The entire team has to perform. And unfortunately, for a good bit of time, a lot of the players on our team, some of their form did dip. But yet, you know, we're talking about Trent as if he's the sole position or the sole one, not the sole, but one of the sole players as to the reason why we are not doing as well. Everyone has a part in it.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, I think what it is with Trent, it's just so good that we want to see, you know, him in a more advanced position. And I can understand everyone's thing of it. Look, Trent is. It's just. I personally, I don't know about you guys, but I personally think Klopp will go with the same system at the beginning of next season, what we finished with that Trent in that inverted fullback role, going into midfield. And I think that's why he's after another defender, because he wants a defender in there so he can rotate a little bit more. Because let's be fair, my only worry with Trent playing that inverted role for a whole season is the ability on Konate. You know, right. Konate then has to pull out wide, and Konate don't like being pulled out wide. He's one of them defenders who rather defend centrally. You know, Virgil at his best, it mind being pulled out wide because he had pace. His pace and his athleticism kept up with everyone, and Konate's quick as well. But Konate don't like using his aggression in them wide areas because he don't like to be caught with. So in that central area, Konate looks stronger. So maybe that's why Klopp's looking for another defender. So he can rotate in that defensive part, like with Virgil, Konate, Gomez, and another, because I think Matic will probably leave. So, do you reckon that's the reason, Ends?
Yeah, no, I don't even want Matic to leave, bro. I'm fully on this. You know what I mean? Letting these men just play their football, man. The Europa League is there, bro. Let these men run out their thing. Let Thiago and these guys run out their thing, but. Yeah, no, man. Just let Trent cook, man. Put him in midfield. That's all I'm going to say on the matter. Put him in midfield. Get a new right back. Yeah, and just let the man do his thing, man. Give him the free roll, man. Even though, you know what I mean, build a team around him if you have to. Fuck it. Just let him play in midfield. Need these men in there, bro. But not to the detriment of new signings. Still, that's the only problem.
Jay, final thoughts on the Trent situation? Where would you rather see him next season?
Yeah, I think. As further forward away from defending as much as
Let's say
possible.
like
So
that, bro.
free roll. Yeah, what do you want me to say? There's no way I can say it. The only way I can say it is that way.
Bro,
Like,
you can answer Jamie's question without throwing a
but I
slight-
answered it. No, I'm going to answer it in the way that I want to answer it. So I don't want Trent defending. I want Klopp to say to him, "You've got a free roll. We're going to get others. Kanate, we're not going to put him out there because he's a crap right centre back. So we're going to actually sign a good one, and then we're going to actually play a lot better. And then you're going to see the team improve. It's that simple. It's really that simple. We're talking about the intensity on Kanate. Yeah, just get one who can defend and play a free at the back properly, like any normal person would do, and you're not going to see the same issues that you see at the back. It is simple. And you coach, you know it's simple, bro. You know it's a lot simpler than he's making it out to be. At least. You know
that's why I
it.
said, man, just put him there and then solve the issue, bro. Then no one can moan, bro. Just put him there.
Jamie. So let me ask you this, Jamie. When Trent was injured, because knock on wood too, G, saying Trent getting injured, but when Trent was injured, we all saw Gomez step into that right back position, and all of a sudden was giving out assists that looked Trent-like. All of a sudden, we saw him being lauded after by a lot of people that were already done with him pretty much, and he played exceptional in that right back role.
Whoa, exceptional is a strong word to use.
He played exceptional. Those games were strong games for him. All right, I understand the fact that like it's a small sample size, but all the same, he did play extremely well. It seemed like, rather considering that Gomez has the pace, Gomez definitely can play defense. You know, he doesn't shy off of trying to play defense. And now all of a sudden, he was putting out an aspect of his game that was certainly Trent-like. Okay, and yet, to G's point, I guess, Klopp moved him back to center back, somewhat moved him back to that right center back position. You know, we have a lot of good pieces in this club, in this team. It just so happens that sometimes we don't acknowledge those things. That's how I'm seeing it. And to Ann's point, you know, it's right. Let's just see these people. Let's just put them out there and see them work. Because if it was my portion could get, my 2 cents could be worth something, I want to see him in this role because, hey, we're seeing actual production. We're seeing positive production from Trent, period. So let's just continue to allow for him to cook.
Yeah, look, the Trent thing I think will be a debate or even next season, especially if he does start in midfield and he's starting to look absolutely brilliant. I think people will just go, there's going to be even more of a agenda. It all depends where you sit. People see Trent at right back and, you know, before last season and a bit of the season before that, because we've got to remember, you know, his issues not defending, it cost us the Champions League. You know, it's everyone's going to say, look at the stats at him at right back, blah, blah, blah. And they're right. Look, the stats at him at right back are very good. There is no doubt about it. He won everything at right back. But there's people who's going to be on the midfield side, look at Trent and think, like, he's got so much quality. You don't get many fullbacks with the ability he does have on the ball. And usually when they do have that ability, they're usually put into midfield. Then, like a Kimmich and stuff like that. And is it Alarm went into midfield eventually as well. And, you know, when they have that quality, they can play in that area. So, you know, maybe that's something they look into. I wouldn't be surprised if Pep Guardiola makes John Stones a functioning midfielder from now on. Yeah, that wouldn't shock me. John Stones looks like a midfielder. He can play there easily. I wouldn't be surprised to be he's gone to a part of his game now where he's happy to play him in midfield a lot of the times instead of centre back. It could be something he does. But yeah, with the Trent stuff, it's going to be the agenda's going to go on. But I prefer him in midfield or that. I just don't want to see him in that inverted role for a whole season because I do think it will give us defensive issues with the other centre backs they're going to have to cover. And then I don't want to buy McAllister, as Enz would say. I don't want to buy a player like McAllister just for him to cover Trent at right back when Trent's getting forward. Because
that man just running over there to cover it. Because Klopp would do that craziness as well. But even just to go back on the John Stones thing, he weren't even that Pep, bro. You could see that he was a midfielder from Everton days because he was the only one running out from the back with the ball.
He's a good footballer.
He had the quality. But John Stones is cold, man.
Yeah.
But at least Pep doesn't make him the creator in the team, so he can just come in and just do a job in there. So he's always going to be all right. You don't need to. Whereas Trent, we're asking him to do inverted plus come in the middle. We also need to be the creative guy, but then we also need to go back to right back. It's a lot for the guy to do. Like, I don't want him to have that stress. I just want him to just enter.
Look at G, worry about stress.
No, I'm worried, guys. Like, I'm genuinely worried. Like, I don't want him to be stressed out. Like, I want him because Trent is so sick on the ball. I'm like, bro, like, I don't want you defending. Like, I need you closer to the goal to be putting a chance on, a plate for these guys. John Stones doesn't do that. He comes in, he does a job, gets out. Guess what? We've got other players. We've got 3 or 4 guys who do that. We have no one, like literally no one. So it's all on Trent. Yeah. So it can be a bit unfair. It is a bit unfair.
I'll give you. Like, if Trent is midfield next season, let's just say Klopp's like, I'm going to buy a right back. I'm going to put Trent in midfield. I can't ignore it no longer. I'm going to have to play him there. Ensman's been on the phone to me constantly. I'm going to have to play him there, right?
Yeah.
Trent's playing in midfield next season, yeah, for the whole year. What's his GA next season? Ends.
I said 10 and 10 still.
10 and 10. 12th man. What do you reckon his GA would be if he played midfield the whole year?
If he played midfield the entire year, I think it would be 7 and 14.
7 and 14. Jay?
Because he scored. He had 3 goals this year, I believe, right?
Yeah, I expect him to score goals if he gets
probably double his impact. He'd have a lot more opportunities, to take shots. Look, you did see a lot more opportunities being taken by him this year than normally, And I believe that Trent does have an amazing ability to shoot, unlike our left back, who sometimes couldn't find the barn. Couldn't put the ball into a barn. Okay, if the barn was a goal. So, I definitely see him being able to score at least 6-7 goals, doubling his impact. I believe so.
Jay, if you play midfield the whole year,
I think you'll get 18 goals and assists.
That's still good though.
What's the breakdown?
7 and 8.
Nah, he ain't gonna score like that. I think he'll maybe score like 3 goals. I think he's more likely to just get bare assists.
I'm all right with that, though. I'm all right.
Yeah, no, I ain't playing it at all. Yeah,
I'm all right.
I think at most, I think he scores less than 5 goals next season. I can't see him scoring like that. I don't strike me as a guy who scores goals.
I think Trent would be our only player that shoots from distance.
He has the ability.
Diaz does that. Nunes does that. We ain't really seeing these guys hit the back of the net. So I don't know if that's a good thing.
I don't know if Trent. If you go back and see Trent through the years when he is allowed to get forward to have a shot, he's actually got a pretty nice. He has got a pretty nice shot. I think it's because people see him take free kicks. I think it's because people think because when he takes free kicks, it don't look so good. Taking a dead ball shot is so different to taking a shot when the ball's on the move. Look at the goals that Trent has scored from free kicks. So it's always knocked on, ain't it, when the ball's moving?
You're right.
So,
right.
That's not all of them.
Some of them he stands up and whips them in the top corner.
Yeah, Trent's got a great right foot. And the thing I do love about Trent in midfield as well, he's very good on his left foot as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Trent's very good. He's very underrated. Yeah, he's very underrated on his left foot, and that's when you got a midfielder who's good with both his feet and can whip balls in with his weak foot. It's not an advantage for you. It really is.
No, we're right. You're right. We don't score from the outside the box too often. And then you know what's kind of crazy about it, which is somewhat of an underlying fact of that, is that there could be an argument that he's no longer a team, but there could have been an argument that Ox was our best outside the box scorer on our team.
Why does everyone keep saying that, by the way? Like, how many goals did he score from outside?
Let's go back to what you said, G. Who are you asking to be more
Trent, bro. Like, if Trent was more mobile, he'll be with the best of them, bro. The guy is an upper body. The guy is. Say that again.
'Cause I see the man do pirouette, spin 2 man in midfield, drove past.
Oh,
two,
the
knock around, player
stiffest
one.
pirouette that you've ever seen in your life, brother.
Bro,
I saw Trent do it the other day.
he's
I was
still
like,
doing
the man at Fives would be bust. Like, he looked like one of them old
Nah,
brothers who
I
you
feel
like,
like a
rah,
midfielder, bro.
okay, you got that in your locker. You could tell he
Nah,
was
bro,
stiff. Bro.
he doesn't.
But
Bro,
Jay,
He's too
but
top
Jay-
heavy for that. He's too top heavy for that.
But
Too
Jay,
top heavy.
did it work, Chloe? Did it work?
I'm not saying it didn't work. Listen, it can work, but he just looked hella stiff doing it. Like, I need a bit more fluidity in these pirouettes, bro. He looked like if he does another pirouette, he's definitely going down injured. I was like, yeah, bro, just chill.
Man, does
Do your
silky, bro.
thing.
Left man for dead, left 3 midfielders for dead, bro. You want him to?
Yeah, because they were as shocked as I was. They were like, rah, I didn't know you had that in your locker. Like, rah, that looks
Because
crazy.
he doesn't get to play in midfield, bro. Because he's now playing there.
Have you ever seen a picture of them defenders, the Arsenal defence that time when Peter Crouch picked it up on his right foot, volleyed it onto his left foot, and then bicycle kicked it in. They just looked at each other like, I didn't know he had that in his locker.
Listen, Crouch had techers, you know. Don't get twisted. Crouch had some serious techers.
Everyone's looking at Trent when he does pirouettes and rainbow flicks.
Yeah, they're like, rah. All right.
The most wooden flick you've ever
Bro,
seen.
the man picked it up
Yeah,
from the
like-
fence and drove past their whole midfield and left man for dead. G don't want that, bro. I don't know what you want.
No,
G.
I never said I don't want it. I said, bro,
No, you
listen.
want the man to be
It works.
mobile. See the man dropped his shoulder.
No, I want to. No.
and run past the whole midfield, and you want more. What else?
No, I'm not asking for more. All I said was just be mobile, bro. Like, that's something that should just be in your prerequisite anyway.
It's already in there.
You're currently not that mobile. So,
Jay
be
wants Trent on his toes. That's what he wants. He wants him back. Fucking Rocky Free.
Yeah.
You know when Rocky's
Ballerina
flat-footed and he goes to Apollo's gym and he learns how to drop boxer, bounce on his
No, because
toes.
I think there's still some untapped. But like, I feel like Trent can. If Trent's serious about being like a baller, like all jokes aside, if Trent's serious about taking his game to the next level, there's another level. Yeah, like this isn't the. If this is the level, and he like, I'll be like, well, I wouldn't put you in the top bracket of players like that. Like, I put you up there, but you'll get talked about the same way I probably talk about like a Carl Walker or something like that. Like, you just get put into them kind of brackets. But there is another level. Trent can easily hit a level where you're just like, where we talk about how we talk about Kevin De Bruyne. I don't talk about Kevin De Bruyne and Trent in the same bracket.
Kevin De Bruyne and fucking Walker's just won a Champions League, bro. No, them man, they couldn't talk to Trent before that. They only just won it, bro. After how many years?
They couldn't talk to Trent before that. Come on, Ed. Let's not do that conversation. Because Man City, you know, they can. Man City are the only team who we know can chat to us about. Like, it doesn't matter, bro.
One that man there, bro. Trent is a better passer than Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah, that and that's all cute and fine.
With just his pace, bro. Allow me, man. That's if you want.
I'm not gonna get into an argument with you in regards to what you think Carl Walker is good and not good at. Because if we took away Trent's passing, your boy will be lacking. We all know it. He'll be definitely lacking in other departments. He really doesn't. He really doesn't. Take away Trent's passing, he's a very
that's like saying, you know, Liverpool as a club don't know what they're doing, and you just brought a man through because he can pass.
Look,
he has more to his locker than just passing.
Yeah, yes, and that's exactly why we brought him through, because he can pass. That's exactly like, that's not a bad thing though. That's a good thing because we were able to see what he can do, and we were like,
okay,
yo,
the only reason
this guy can
made
pass.
it to the Premier League because he got speed. Then you can use that same thing, bro.
Hey, if that's what you want to use, then that's what you want to use. But we could do that with anybody, literally.
I've got a question for everyone. So it's off topic, right? The Ballon d'Or is obviously nominations that are starting. It ends in Christmas time, we know. But everyone's talking about Haaland should win the Ballon d'Or, yeah? I think Rodri should.
Be a good shout.
You know,
no one's talking about him, right? And personally, Rodri has won everything, yeah? And I don't think Man City win everything if Rodri doesn't play. And because if Haaland weren't about, would they won everything? Maybe. But would they won everything without Rodri? I think he's the best DM in world football without a shadow of a doubt. You know, and yes, he's not one of these techie players that everyone loves. But yeah, I just think I think he's a fabulous footballer. It's gone really
John Stones to that then, because without John Stones, him moving into that position, bro, do they do what they're doing? Probably not, bro. Since he went into there, it was cold. But no, Haaland has to win it. We already know how the Ballon d'Or works, bro. Goals pay the bills, bro. So
I still don't think Haaland's going to win it, though.
No, I think Messi's winning.
I think Messi's going to win it.
Bro. If he doesn't win it, bro, they're taking the piss, bro.
Right, when Argentina won the World Cup in Messi.
Do you know what? It would be like when Virgil should have won it, and we clearly saw that these men just opted for the goals because Virgil was on a different level that year when he finished second. If Haaland don't win it, I don't know, bro. He has to win it. What, won all the major trophies, scored out how many goals?
First season, yeah. No.
Bro, I'm with you.
I'm saying I ain't disagreeing.
Haaland probably should win it, but I look at what Messi did at the World Cup, and I just feel like Messi didn't play for Argentina at World Cup. Argentina.
No. I'm sorry, Jamie. I have to hold another man accountable. Paul Smith, what do you mean he's not a better passer, bro? What pass can he not do?
Oh, right, I did see that.
No, we're not doing this conversation, bro. Skip this conversation, bro. It just gets long, bro. As I'm not here to I ain't here to debate KDB and his pass.
We're doing that on the call-in show. We're talking about the call-in show.
You're dismissing Trent's ability at free kicks too, though.
No, it's all right. Bro.
I'm not dismissing anything. I just said.
You're saying that he's not a good free kick. You're saying he's not a good.
He's very okay.
Like very okay. Okay. That is.
Let's put it to you this way: if I had a choice between him and a James Ward-Prowse, I'm not gonna go Trent, am I? You know what I mean? Like it's like I'm not gonna take him.
Very okay is the most insulting thing I've ever heard in my life.
No, what do you mean? Very okay. Okay, cool. Maybe I can say it differently. He's I at free kicks. He's I. He's like
he rolled his eyes when he said it, bro. The disrespect.
Very okay.
What do you think I was gonna say? What, he ain't no Beckham with a free kick. Don't get twisted. He ain't no David Beckham with a free kick. So, and that's how people are like, oh, he's just like Bex. Nah, Bex on the free kick was a different level. Trent is nowhere near that. You know what I'm saying? He's okay at the best. But passing,
Trent right foot, left foot, bro. He's the best passer in the club, bro.
We'll talk more about it on Wednesday, the calling show. Ravi says, Jalen panel thoughts on Robbo. Should he be rotated more?
Yes.
Yeah, Robbo should be sold. Yeah, I'm one of them guys. I've had this argument with people already. So when I was talking about the other day on my channel about midfielders that need to come into the football club, right, and who people are leaving, because everyone keeps telling me, oh, Naby's leaving, Ox is going. Like, what are you on about, Jamie? About more players need to leave and more players to come in. And as I keep saying, you're not replacing Naby and Ox, the players that are coming in, because they never played. So say we get a Gravenberch by the looks of it, that looks like that might be the player now. And McAllister are only two midfielders, yeah? Say Klopp's going, right, I'm going to rest Gravenberch and that today, and McAllister's got a weak injury or something. Then your starting midfield is Hendo, Fabinho, and Thiago, the same midfield that we've been slagging off for 12 months. So when people keep coming at me about what players should be chucked out of this team, you're not replacing players that never played. You need to replace players that are taking up the squad numbers that play all the time, that can't do it no more. That's what you should replace. But,
Jamie, couldn't you say though? Couldn't you say real quick that those same players, because Klopp obviously had a reliance or wanted to rely on Naby, and we just didn't get it because of his injuries. There could be an argument again, and you should check out Ox's resume when it comes to his goals scored. A good number, if not the majority of his goals, have been from outside the box. But all the same, Ox was again a player that we were hoping to be able to get more production out of. It just so happens he was injury. He has a lot of injuries that limited his playing on this squad. So like a lot of times, these players that are leaving, James Milner, well, he never got injured, but still Milner, Naby, Ox, those are midfielders that were slotted to get quality minutes. And that means there's going to be a lot of quality minutes that are now going to be up for grabs to a lot of different players, especially if he does what we're all pretty much saying that we would like to see him do, and that is rotate or actually start to really bring in some type of rotation to this squad.
Yeah, guys, we're going to talk more about this. I'm doing my call-in show Wednesday night that hopefully Ens can jump on with as well. So, yeah, we'll open up more of this on Wednesday night in the call-in show. Guys, we're going to leave it there. great debate as always, and yeah, lots of fun at the end. Everyone's pretty okay according to G, so we're all good. Everyone's good. Thank you very much, everyone, joining me. 12th man, thank you very much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. G, big up to yourself, my man. Ends. Thank you very much, guys. Really do appreciate it, guys. Don't forget to go and subscribe to all these guys. Go and check them out on Twitter, all the social medias, YouTube, their channels, everything. Make sure you go and subscribe and follow them. Great, guys. Guys, I'll be back tomorrow with the Grav and Birch video because, yeah, I've got things to say. Until then, bye-bye.